Great news. Catherine, Princess of Wales, reveals cancer treatment is over.
And Meghan Markle makes an appearance on the eve of the second anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show where we bring you insight and opinion into the lives of two rather famous royal couples on either side of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on the Duke and Duchess of Sussex right here in sunny California.
And back here in the UK, I'll be bringing you all the news, and there's plenty this week about the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Rupert, I sobbed this morning when I opened my phone and saw this beautiful video of the Princess of Wales and her family. So it was so touching. It felt so intimate and unexpected. What was your first reaction? Were you touched when you first saw the video?
Yeah, well, I actually had to be on air when I saw it for the first time because we knew it came out and it was embargoed till 4:30 UK time. I was actually on air at the time, and then I saw it. And I obviously read the statement beforehand, so I know the gist of what she was going to talk about, but in essence saying her cancer treatment is over and how much she's appreciated the support of everybody, her family, and what it has meant over these last months. But actually, the video took me by surprise because they've gone for the slick number. But actually, at the heart of it, I mean, it's a well-produced number. There's a lot of soft focus stuff and running through fields, but what at the heart of it with her husband and her three children, it's just a family trying to behave as normally as possible, and you clearly sense the closeness of that family, and it was touching at times. I didn't sob, but I was touched. I'm stiff upper lip British, as you know, Kinsey. So I took it all in my stride. But I was surprised because the royal family, as we know, is conservative by nature and not great with their public displays of affection. And this was out there. We know she's a very loving and hands-on mum, as much as she can be and has been able to be. And we know the way she wants her life to work around schooling. But actually, it was more than that. You know, there was much sort of, the way William and Catherine interacted in the video, I thought was interesting. And bearing in mind that they would have given the final say, what they would have allowed to be put out there. But, when you think of videos past, they're pretty, clinical, not clinical, but there's not that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have to say, it was good, and it's definitely put Princess and Princess of Wales on the front foot from a PR perspective. That's my initial reaction. Bearing in mind, you and I are talking about this no more than a couple of hours after it dropped, but I think initially the reaction seems to be one of very positive. There are obviously things that we can dissect from it. What does it mean going forward? And I think that's the important aspect. But what they've really done, Kinsey, and we've spoken about this on previous Heirs and Spares, about once the children go back to school, what's it look like for the Prince and Princess of Wales? Well, we saw already the Prince of Wales out and about doing public duties and getting out there, and with his homeless charity and various other things. With the Princess of Wales, we're not sure. Well, this is in a way of stopping the speculation. What's going on? She's put it out there now. So now we have something to work on of how the royal family or the Kensington Palace are going to manage her rehabilitation out there in the public.
What did you think when she said that she wants to be back at work like that? I thought that was very sweet when she said, I'm taking my time, but I want to see you. I want to be back at work. It just felt like a love letter to people, the people that wrote in and said, I'm praying for you. It just felt like, and it was so unnecessary and so kind. It just felt like they were giving us so much more than they had to. And I really appreciated that because I didn't feel like she was treated the way she should have been leading up to this. You know, the Where's Kate hashtag, the TMZ hiding in the bushes outside of Windsor to snap that photo of her and her mother when she was supposed to be recovering from abdominal surgery. It just felt like they were giving us a little bit more than we honestly deserved.
Well, no, I think they're not naive and insusceptible to the support that they've had, because she is a popular figure. And like anybody who's trying to recover from cancer, you would be made of pretty nasty stuff if you wouldn't want to wish anybody well. And I think the general consensus is that she deserves it. We're not privy to what's been wrong with her, but it's definitely not been good. So, I mean, that's what we can, because it's taken so long. The King's been out and about pretty quickly after we knew that he'd been diagnosed. Yet it's probably been easier to manage in his case, although he's somebody who doesn't like to sit still. And I'm sure for the Queen, it's been something of a nightmare. But we know we've seen him this week at the Highland Games and all that, and out and about. But in the Wales's case, it's a different one to manage. And I think it's very good PR-wise that they have reflected on the fact that they've felt the love of lots of people, aside from just the love of the children and and her husband supporting her through this difficult time. And she does like and want to be a working royal as much as she can. But ultimately, I think this means, and the way this video has been framed, it's family first.
Yeah.
I will get out and about, and if you read the statement, as and when my recovery allows me, even though she's in a post-chemo or whatever treatment she's having phase. And we all know that cancer can bite you back quickly. You think you're in there, and then before you know it, you're back under the treatment, on the treatment table. So it feels like it's not a straightforward recovery. Even in this post-treatment phase, things need to be managed. But I think the way they've got the PR initiative now is they've put it out there. It's obviously something that's been well thought of. That video wasn't just thrown together in a day. So what you're actually seeing is the PR people and the team have been working out how to rehabilitate her in the eyes of the public and what is going to be important for her. And the statement suggested that it's family first, i.e. her children, because this is obviously, their 3 children. It's been quite traumatic for them, I would have thought. When you're young children, you've got your mother facing cancer, because at their age, they're just suddenly beginning to realize that everything's not about Father Christmas and Disney.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I mean? So,
and it was, but to your point, wasn't it refreshing to see the children, not in that kind of, I don't know how to explain it. They have to be so prim and proper when we typically see them at Trooping the Color or at church on Christmas. They're usually very well behaved. They know that there are eyeballs on them, and little Louis is probably the outlier there. But I feel like we see Princess Charlotte telling the boys to put their hands down or to stop fidgeting, and this was just a kind of sweet moment where they were just loving on their parents and enjoying the company of their parents and each other and being silly. And while I know that this has been so traumatic for them, to see them in good spirits and to see that innocence and sweetness was really uplifting.
I think what it showed is, if you think through the summer holidays, there will be lots of families enjoying that same experience with their children. That's what going on summer holidays are about. It's having those special family memories. Now, they may have been gambling through the fields of Amner Hall in Norfolk, which, and all that, and they've got the scope. And let's put them, they're in a very privileged position. But at the heart of it, their behavior was the same as what you'll see in many other people's summer holiday videos of family, young children, having a good time with their parents. And at the moment, just trying to forget it all. That moment in the film when they say, is the camera rolling? Look, they're used to camera people around it, but it was a little cheeky, chappy cheek moment. They were enjoying, and actually, from a children's point of view, I'm sure they're mightily relieved that their mother is in a position to actually do what she is doing, because none of us know what it was like in the early stages of her diagnosis and where her illness was going to take her. But we know she would have been in the most capable of hands, and her status has enabled that. But at the same time, you look at that video and say that is a family of 5 enjoying being together and maybe grateful that they have been dealt a good hand. And that's why in the message, the Princess of Wales refers to the fact that cancer, get diagnosed with cancer, affects us all and is not easy. It's a bolt out of the blue, and suddenly you've got your life turned on its head. If you think going into Christmas last year, well, after she'd done her Christmas Carol concert and everything, you see her at Christmas, you think, right, everything in the royal family seemed to be all going along swimmingly. But the beginning of this year, they had 2 bolts out of the blue that they had to deal with, which rocked the family to its core. And now they're having to regroup. And I think they've regrouped pretty well in terms of what they've done here. It's a good video. It's video for the modern age. And it shows that, William and Catherine have probably, their relationship may have been strengthened by what has gone through, because now they have something that anyone can, there's bringing together. Adversity concentrates the mind as to what you want out of your relationship. And what you see there is William wanting to be enjoying time with his family, and looks like he did. By the way, it was a cricket bat that he was using in the film, which you may not quite know what it was, Kinsey, but that's a cricket bat, something we play over here. It's the baseball, forget baseball. This is a proper sport. And he was obviously going to play a bit of beach cricket with his children.
That is so funny, because I did notice the cricket bat, but I agree that there was just so much love and affection between Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William that we are not necessarily privy to when you watch old videos of Queen Elizabeth, who we know was absolutely mad about Prince Philip. She was, that was her, like, from when she was a little girl, that was who she had her eyes set on. So we know she was madly in love with him, and they weren't really in a position to be as affectionate as Prince William and Catherine are. So it's really nice to kind of see that from the fairy tale perspective of it all.
Well, yeah, the fairy tale. Don't be completely. The Crown. The Queen's relationship with the Prince Philip. We know that it was. We know it wasn't always that way. But So, but at the heart, there was a great sense of loyalty to each other, even though there may, like a lot of marriages, had its rocky periods. In the 50s, it wasn't straightforward, and he was a man very much of his time. But the way this video is very much now of its time, that William has now been there for his wife and family, and you got that sense very definitely. And that's why, if this had happened, say, in the 50s, how would it have been managed then? We weren't in the space.
I think they would have tried to keep it a secret from us.
Yeah, and we would have, because we didn't. Everything now is so instantaneous. It's like at 4:30 today in the UK, this was beamed around the world, and it probably on every news channel around. I don't know what it was like in America at 4:30, but I imagine I wouldn't say it was, the front page completely, but it would certainly have will get a mention, and the video will be being shown a lot around the world. But in the old days, they used to hold off the time of when they would announce the monarch's death to suit the time of the papers, because there wasn't this instant news. Time does create problems for everybody. The social media issues create problems for everyone. But ultimately, I think what the Kensington Palace and the Waleses have done here is a very good PR move. But actually, at the heart of it, it's saying family first, and then I'll do family first, and then in terms of what Catherine's going to do, is then I'll fit around that and my recovery.
There was a bit of a hiccup. I saw the video when it was uploaded to Instagram the first time, and it cut Catherine off. And I was still crying, even though it cut Catherine off prematurely, but I knew exactly what had happened, because Instagram is such a weird character. So if you try to upload a video as a reel, you are limited in how long that video can be. But if you upload the video as a post, I think it can be as long as 10 minutes that you can upload. Maybe that's TikTok, but you can upload video longer if you upload it as a post versus a reel. So I think whoever uploaded it the first time uploaded it as a reel. It was cut off. And so then they had to delete, even though there was like 6,000 comments in 4 minutes.
Well, you've lost me here, Kinsey. It's not just, I never quite know what's going on in the social media landscape. Reeling, posting, TikToking, Xing, goodness knows, it's a confusing landscape out there. But ultimately, this will have created a great deal of interest around the world because, they want to see her better, because she is such an integral part. When she appeared at the King's birthday parade, when she appeared at Wimbledon, there was focus. When we saw her going to church in Scotland, there was focus on her. They've had to manage this. And the video came out after all that kerfuffle when she was seen in Windsor under probably more difficult circumstances. But at least now you see her looking much better than she did in that video that came out, where she looked sort of pale and clearly, at that stage
suffering. Yeah.
So hopefully, we've talked about the fact they were having some family days out doing whatever that game was they were doing, and whatever. So I think we just have to look at it as a very positive development. But what it means of going forward, I'm sure we'll see him, as long as she feels up to it, in cold November day, but at the remembrance service that we have at the Cenotaph and other functions. I'm sure she wants to get back out, but it will be controlled, and it will be her, I think, actually saying in this video, don't push me, it's family first. I'm going to get her back out there, but don't overstep. Just let me do it on my terms. I think that's the underlying message from the video.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was excited to hear that plans were already in place for Catherine's Together at Christmas carol service at Westminster Abbey in December. There was no, guarantee that she would be appearing there this year, but the Sunday Times reported that plans are underway. If it's one of her good days, she will attend. There was some questions on social media about whether or not the Sunday Times article that said she's preparing to come back to work kind of forced their hand to release this video. But I would argue, to your point, that this video was very glossy, highly produced, and was ready to go. So perhaps that's not the case. Perhaps this all what unfolded the way it was supposed to.
I think, that may be the Sunday Times article, maybe implying, sometimes a little nugget here, there, and probably just saying it's the kind. No, I think I even mentioned it, speculated it myself, that's the sort of thing that you could see her at on this program. So I'm not sure they've gone completely out on a limb there, because it is a state occasion, very similar to, the King's birthday parade, the royal family turn out to be part of the National Remembrance Day for our servicemen and women. So I think but it does show where we are going, and it might be the more state occasions, and the more formal occasions. But I'm sure she dearly loved to get back out and being part of our early learning program, maybe being able to make a visit to a school, because that would be within what she wants. It's children first in her life now, and that's very much where she wants to be seen. I know she's put out a statement welcoming the new, I think, chief scout to the fold, or someone who's joining of that. And so I think there's work going on behind the scenes with some of the things that she's involved with. And hopefully she will feel well enough. Because I also think there's the mental side of it as well. When we talk about mental health and the royal family aware of it, there's a lot of pressure on her when she goes out. It's not just turning out and just shaking a few hands. Everybody is going to be saying, oh, she doesn't look quite right there, or she just said the wrong thing there. Doesn't she look a bit tired? And you just think, back off. If she wants to be, but unfortunately, they won't back off because the nature of the beast is. So that's some of the things she's got to deal with. But the main thing is, in this video, she looked happy because she was enjoying a summer holiday that maybe at the start of the year didn't look as if it was going to be enjoyed in the manner that it was.
So true. It was a beautiful video, and I felt like really privileged that we had that kind of access to them. And it's just felt so much more authentic than we see from, and I tried so hard not to go here, Rupert. I tried, but here I am. So much more authentic than the stuff we see coming from Harry and Meghan. If you think back on that glossy American Riviera orchard video that Meghan had up for 24 hours on her Instagram page, why does everything from Harry and Meghan feel so fake and phony, and everything from William and Catherine come out, it just seems so true, sincere, and authentic?
Well, it's how you tell the narrative, right? And it's the PR people who have to make sure they get it right on behalf of those of each couple. Now, the Kensington Palace team are going to have to be on their game to make sure they manage it on behalf of the Waleses. And there's no two ways about it, because it does need to, because you've got to bring the country along with you. With Harry and Meghan, I think for the PR team, they're a harder couple to manage, because they are often convinced by their own PR rightness. So therefore, it's harder to educate and say what to do, because that American Riviera orchard one, if it's the one in the kitchen, I mean, there could have been anybody in the kitchen, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Meghan, but you could have been at a stand-in because she was so far in the back. So I don't know, but there we are getting glimpses of the children, and actually that's an interesting thing, because isn't that one of Meghan's problems, is that the children's privacy. But actually, I think it's very easy then for William and Catherine to put that out, saying, our children are really important, and look how happy they are. There's no issues. They're leaping over their mum and dad in a totally normal way, which might have been quite hard when you think about it, for less so for William and Harry, because their mother was very much of that type, but it might have been harder for Charles to probably want all that, and would never have wanted, probably with his young children, a video of this type. And certainly we rarely would have seen pictures of Charles and Anne, Edward or Andrew climbing all over their parents, although there are obviously the odd picture, but it's nothing on the scale that we saw in that video. And maybe our friends in your neck of the woods can take a leaf a bit out of their book and actually see, well, that's not a bad thing. The children look happy. And if you can show it, but if they're going to do something like that, it's got to be in the right context. You can't just put it out there. This has been put out there because we want to show that everything is trying to get back to normal. But at the heart of it, it's family first. And isn't that that's what most people should be trying to do. Whereas in the Duke and Duchess of Montecito's case, you're not always sure that they're seeing it from the right angle. It's about as tactful as I can put it.
Well, I love it. I love it. I want to briefly touch base on this because I think it's kind of lame and irrelevant, especially now after this amazing video that we received from the Princess of Wales. But Meghan was seen in in Summerland, right outside of Montecito, at an Oprah Winfrey book club event over the weekend. It was on the eve of the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. And of course, I see something like that. Well, it was the same when Mohammed Al Fayed died, and they were at the Beyonce concert the same night. And I thought that was so weird. Am I being too critical when I'm hyper aware of those dates? The death of Mohammed, Al Fayed, the anniversary, the eve of the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. I know for a fact that Prince Harry grew up in a world where he was privy to those kinds of dates and knew what was appropriate and inappropriate to do around those types of dates. It's so strange to me when I see Meghan Markle and Prince Harry doing things around the anniversary of Diana's death. And I'm just like, I know Prince Harry knows better, that people are going to put two and two together and say, that's odd.
Well, she was in a bookshop. I mean, that is not very glamorous, is it? I'm okay. It's a sort of, well-meaning people.
It's Oprah. I mean, well, it's the fact that it's a publisher, is the store owner, a very well-respected literary agent owns the venue. So that's a contact that obviously Meghan wants to keep under her sleeve. And then Meghan associating with Oprah, we haven't seen that in a really long time. So I think that it's beneficial to Meghan, obviously, because she's got to keep in Oprah's good graces.
Well, and then I can't remember the quote, but there was something was quoted from it, which was the biggest load of word salad. You probably know what, you might be able to drag it up, but on your computer. But there was some word salad.
I'm looking at this time as my chapter of joy. The more you are able to look at your life and really, truly recognize and be able to be grateful for your life, you have to be grateful for all aspects of it. My intentionality is to enjoy this chapter and be able to love through every piece as best we can. But I doubt that that's the full quote, because I feel like she always uses the word fundamentally somewhere, and then she ends almost every sentence with right.
Well, but it's interesting. Now you compare that statement to Catherine's statement, and basically, love is at the heart of both of those.
Yes.
But the Catherine one just feels more genuine. That just intentionality. What kind of word is that? Anyway, sorry.
No, it's true. It's true.
And it's we all know love. We all want love and everything, but it's the word salad nature of that is just. Yeah, it's all well-meaning. Yes, we want love, but it's coming back to her. Yeah. Whereas Catherine's statement is about the family and thanking everybody, and wants to be back out there and get working again on our behalf. So if you're looking at the two statements, one is, look, we can probably overanalyze it. Maybe I am overanalyzing Catherine's and reading into it too much, and maybe there will be some people saying, well, she didn't say anything. So you've got to look at it both ways. But when I read the Meghan bit, I just thought, well, that's very deep, isn't it?
Well,
says he with irony.
Exactly. It's also actions speak louder than words. And Meghan has been, I feel, my personal opinion, Harry and Meghan have been cruel in their actions over the last 4 years. Prince Philip is sick, sitting on Oprah. The Queen is dead. Harry released a spare and is on a Netflix series. It just feels like there's been constant cruelty from Harry and Meghan. So you can't just flip a switch and change people's perspective of you. Although I was given this very bizarre article that I know you've read too, that says recent polling shows an interesting shift in how Britain's younger generation views the royal family. Meghan Markle's popularity among Gen Z has jumped significantly as she visited Colombia with Prince Harry, putting her almost on par with Prince William. Like, what drugs are these children on that they are surveying here?
I think, maybe we spend a lot of time reading, and we probably have our finger on the pulse. I'm not trying to say that I know more than anybody else, but actually, Meghan, this is what Meghan and Harry want. They want to tap in to Gen Z. And so going to Colombia will appeal, because it will seem on the face of it, they're going out of, somewhere and trying to engage with a group of different people than would be normal. So I can sort of accept, you can see where the Sussexes are coming from in what they're trying to do, and why that might tap into a certain, level of support. But actually, what they've actually got to do, they've got to make sure their brand, and there are people who want to, tap in and then support them. They've got to make sure they reach out to a broad swathe of people to make sure that they can bring them all along. But if Gen Z is going to be commercially viable for them, then they should continue to tap into it. But
is Gen Z going to pay pay for pots and pans from American Riviera Orchard? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like, again, we have this conversation every week all over the place. Do you want Oprah's friends? Is that why you're in Summerlin sitting in a vacant bookshop? Do you want Gen Z who don't have, they have no savings, and they probably don't want to waste a ton of money on your pots and pans and your Tupperware? It's just, there's no real focus and no real goal when it comes to anything these two do. And for me, I see things like that, and I wonder if for the younger generation, it's more of an infamy that they are into, like the Kim Kardashian or whatever, where it's like, it's not necessarily admiring this person, but that person has a reputation for being drama, and people love drama. That's why they turn on reality TV. That's what Harry and Meghan's docuseries is, reality TV.
Well, exactly. But at the same time, they've got to tap into. Look, I've been hearing with American Riviera Orchard, they can't get the trademarks or whatever, and or various things going on. It's still very much a work in progress, and it's not moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But maybe they will suddenly be a great swathe of publicity, and we'll all be made to eat humble pie because they've really kicked on and come up with something. But and they've got products that the whole of America and the rest of the world are dying out for. I'm holding my breath, but if I'm proved wrong, I will be the first to say fair play to them. But at the moment, I don't see that happen. The moment they're still, as you say, trying to find their direction. And for Harry, his direction is, as we said, a rudderless one at the moment. Hence the feeling that the PR stuff and sort of bits of bobs coming out from their sort of favoured publications is all a bit, trying. But as he always says, until William apologises, I'm not doing anything. Well, he was the one who was pretty hard on the Princess of Wales. So, I really do think, and that's sad, because at one stage they were like, it was the sister he never had. So the whole thing is sad. And that's why the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have got to work out where they're at. But the one person who's going to be driving all that is Meghan, because Harry is at the moment not sure what he's doing. And, and Sir Ian McKellen said, yes, he was, in that statement, he said, this famous British actor, from Harry Potter and all sorts of things, Shakespearean accent par excellence, had a pop at the royal fat.
Do we still call him Sir, even though he was so crappy to the Queen? I'm not going to call him anymore. I'll call him Ian.
Well, there were a lot of people actually want to say, well, we don't want the Duke and Duchess of Sussex because they've been so, as you say, crappy to the royal family. But unfortunately, that's his title. I think as someone, he's a eccentric character. He's entitled to his opinion. But what he did say is that Harry wasn't the sharpest tool in the box, and that's part of his problem. But then had sympathy for him leaving the institution of the royal family. And actually, part of that, what he said there, is not too far from the truth. So therefore, Harry has somehow got to get the foresight now of how he wants to go forward. But has he got the capacity to do that? And that's the worry. Whereas, on the other hand, the Wales is okay, protected by the great royal machine, are showing that they are trying to navigate their way through the difficulties that they have faced as a family.
What a wonderful way to end our chat, Rupert. You're my favorite person to talk to every week. Thank you so much for giving me your reaction to that beautiful video we got.
Kinsey, can I just say, I may have to go because I have a cat in this house. And unfortunately, and I don't know whether our listeners want to know and viewers want to know this, but occasionally I live in the middle of the country. He brings an animal into the house. Currently, I am recording this with a little mouse running around the studio. And I'm thinking, what's my cat done? You'd be leaping up and demanding this. And I'm looking at it. As I'm looking over my shoulder, I see a little mouse running around my office thinking he's escaped the clutches of Percy the cat. And I may have to go and rescue him. So on that note.
Yeah, perfect. Go. That's perfect. Go. Go save the animals. Thank you so much, Rupert. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.